Welcome to the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graveson, just outside Louisville, Kentucky on a hot 90-degree day. And in Maryland, where I hope it's 90 degrees, making John Webster happy. Mr. John Webster, how you doing, my man?
Hey, Gary, I'm doing real good, man. Hope everybody else is doing well. Man, today it was great, man. It got up to 97. We're almost to 100. We're almost to 100, and I'm feeling good. I'm
And you're
feeling good, man.
and you're wearing a sweatshirt too.
Hey, man. Hey, man. Sweatshirt of champions. It's a champion.
Mm. In almost 100-degree weather. Okay.
Hey, speaking of champ, hey, well, before we get to it, let me say, hey, John Pitt, how you doing, man?
Hey, Gary, this guy's not joking. I saw him at work sitting in the sun with long sleeve clothing on. I thought he was joking. You can keep this heat, John. Come on, man.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, like today, when I was out running errands, and of course, granted, it was like in the high 80s or something, but I saw a couple of dudes in black pullovers, black hoodies, walking through the shopping center, and I'm like, are y'all high? I just don't get it. And yet they'll probably wear that same thing, in the wintertime. It doesn't matter.
Man, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Hey, man, what a way to lead in saying it is what it is. Gary, NBA draft is tonight. It is what it is. Cooper Flag is going first. Talk to us about it, man. Bring us up to speed. What's happening with the draft? Tell us some of the other players that are in the draft, some of the sleepers we got to look at. Is Derek McQueen going to be a lottery pick or will he just be a draft pick? Talk to us, man.
All right. Well, you already know, or I should say, we've already talked about Cooper Flag and him being pretty much the consensus number one pick from Duke. Guy had an incredible one season in Durham. Does a lot of things well. For a guy his size, he can shoot from outside. He can shoot from just about anywhere on the floor. He could take the ball to the hole. He's a good defender. Not sure what kind of rim protector he is, but he's a guy that I think likes to mix it up. I think they're going to Dallas, which has the number one pick. And right now, I don't think that there's a better place that he can go. And Dallas Mavericks, you have one job. You traded away Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers in a trade that we're still scratching our heads over 6 months later. But hey, like John said, it is what it is. So now you got a chance to build for the future with Cooper Flag, a guy who might be in that cut from that same cloth like Luka and Joker. Just one of those guys that can do it on both ends of the floor. Don't screw this up. That's all I can really say about that. The team that I'm really intrigued with is our Washington Wizards. And yes, I'm going to say our because, all of us have DC ties. But, if I did mention the Wizards, half the people that follow the NBA wouldn't even know they're still around because they have stunk out loud really for a generation, John. I was just thinking every June, around June 6th or 7th, I think about when they won the championship in 1978. They haven't really sniffed the playoffs much in the 40-something years since. Heck, there's no excuse to be going on 50 years and you haven't even gotten past the second round. You haven't had more than maybe a handful of playoff appearances. But they did make a trade. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. It's like, but Drew Holiday. Yeah, was it Drew Holiday? Yeah, who was it that they? Oh no, they signed Chris Middleton, and oh gosh, who is the trade, John?
Well, they have C.J. McCollum there.
Thank
They
you.
have
That's the
C.J.
one I'm trying to
McCollum.
remember.
They
I want to say
traded.
that
They traded Jordan Poole.
Jordan
And
Poole. That's the one. That's the
I
one.
well, you
But here's the thing. I'll jump in and say this about Jordan Poole. it won't matter against the salary cap this year, but next year they'll have $100 million in cap room to work with. I don't know what that means for the Wizards. Good night. I almost called them the Mystics at one point. No offense to the Mystics, but with this team, I don't know what they do with cap room. I don't know what they do when they don't have cap room because it's just been a trash organization. And yeah, if I seem a little pissed, I am a little pissed because it's no excuse for a team that had the kind of history that they had when we were growing up, John Webster, for them to be an also ran. There are more people in your household alone. Your sons can remember more crap years than playoff years. Am I right?
Yeah, the Wizards have had some challenging years.
You're being
The
calm.
the the creme de la creme for them was 78 when they won the NBA championship. They they have a hard time putting together continuity. They have a hard time of. Hey, let me give you an example what I mean. They were rolling for a while when they had Gilbert Arenas. That the Hibachi and Gilbert was doing some really great things, and they were getting the playoffs. They got to the second round. The city was on fire. Then you had the Gilbert Arenas injury, and then some other unfortunate incidents, and that boat went down the drain. Unfortunately, they had another one when they had Bradley Beal and John Wall going real strong. I think, again, they made the second round of the playoffs one year. But then, unfortunately, John Wall had an injury to his knee, and he never was the same. They've had many jump starts, but not continual flow. I can go back to when you and I were kids, Gary, and they would, it was a gimmick. The long and short of it, they had Manute Bol and Muggsy Bogues, who both went on to other teams and were successful. They had Moses Malone near the end of his career, Gus Williams near the end of his career, Dan Ramfield near the end of his career. The list goes on and on. And then you move up to, they had a good jump start when they had Weber and they had Rod Strickland and they had Juwan Howard. Matter of fact, Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Jordan even said they're the next team of the future. Yeah. And then they had some injuries and, again, some unfortunate situations, and that team never gathered the flow ever again. And it's continual. It's consistent with the Wizards or the Bullets, where they get a roll and then something happens. Tonight they have the 6th pick, and that's unfortunate because the Wizards had either the worst record in basketball this year or the second to worst record, and the worst pick they could get was 6. And what did they get? 6.
Yeah.
So you look at tonight, what is available? All right, Gary, you help me. You got Cooper Flagg. You got, was it Ace Bailey?
Bailey. We'll probably go number 2.
Yeah, give me some other names, Gary. Give me some other names, because my point is trying to get to 6 people. Are there going to be 6 players there that could help a 6 player in the draft who could help the Wizards?
The only one that I can think of, and this ain't going to float your boat or bake your bread, all those things, is the ones that the name I've been seeing the most is Con Kneppel from Duke, who I think is a solid pick. He's a swing man. But, again, with the Wizards, there's so much that they need. Like, you don't know who their point guard is. You really don't know who their big man is. So I guess, you can talk about
And there's talk that Georgetown has a big guy. They got an aircraft carrier, is it Thomas Sorber? That he
Oh
is,
yeah, yeah.
and I
He's
don't know.
one too.
Now, I want to tell you the other kid, the aircraft carrier that I really like. I think he could be a good rim protector in the NBA. That's the kid that plays at Duke. I forgot his name. M Watt or
Oh, come on, Malawak.
yeah, Malawat. Yeah, I like him. I don't, but I'm not a scout. I could be liking him for the wrong reason. So I, I just don't know, Gary. I don't know. They say they have a plan. They are tearing down. They're building back up. This is like the second year of this process. Um, I've seen success stories with this, like Oklahoma City.
Hmm.
San Antonio has been successful in the drafts. But I've seen situations like Philadelphia where trust the process and Joel Embiid got hurt.
Yeah,
Ben
yeah,
Simmons got hurt. So, and I don't, injuries happen, man. I'm not sitting here blaming either one of them. Injuries happen, and then your process does not happen. So, with me saying that, I'm saying I wish the Wizards a lot of luck tonight. I hope they're able to get a pick that works for them. Um, That's all I can say, Gary.
yeah. Well, the one thing I'll say, and looking at the prospects that are out there, and I mean the ones off the top of my head, that they'll probably be gone by the time the Wizards pick six. A guy I would like to see them get, I mean, a guy I feel like can help any team would be Janai Broome from Auburn, but I don't think he'll be there. Um, I don't know if you use a lottery pick on Walter Clayton Jr. from Florida. As good as he was in college, there I feel like there's shooting guards like him that are a dime a dozen. That's no knock on him. It's just that he comes into a full room, as you say. Um,
Well,
Jeremiah,
you mentioned Janai Broome. I think he was a really good college player. And the next thing I say is really, I'm going to try to find a way to say it positively because it's not going to sound good. But Broome, by the start of next season, will be 27 years old. So my my question is, how do you say this? I want him to be successful. I like the kid. I like how he plays. But coming into the league at 27, how many more years do you have left?
well, actually, John, he's 22.
Okay, so who's the kid that was 26 or 27?
Oh, hold on, which one?
Okay, that was M Barker, or whatever. If that's the case, I take back everything I said about Janai Broome. I take it all back. I
Okay,
think I would. It'd be good to get him. I take that back.
but
I had his age wrong.
but in your defense, John, he's been out there for a minute, and and I'm scrolling through some prospects now. There are at least five guys that are 23 or older in this draft, and I'm trying to find who that old guy that you're talking about. I know that Wisconsin John Tonji, he's 24. Let's see, and this is among most of the prospects. Yeah, nobody's older than 24. But
Well,
there is
20,
that. Oh, wait a minute.
22.
Caleb Grill is 25 from Missouri.
Well,
I remember now him. I do remember. I didn't know he was
well,
25 though.
22 is a lot different than what I thought 27. So please forgive me for the comments that I made about Janai Broome. I would like to retract all those. And I will say that at 22, I think he's a catch. I like him, and I take it back because I thought he was 27 to come into the league.
It just seemed like he's been out there for a while because of COVID years and transfers and all that other stuff. I'm
Mm-hmm.
partial to Janai Broome because I got to cover him in the SEC at Auburn and when he was here in Kentucky at Morehead State and on the
Mm-hmm.
rise, and had gotten the Golden Eagles to the NCAA tournament before transferring.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't really have anybody to compare him to. I think he's just kind of he's a unique player in that I think he can play the four. He could play, I'd say, just about any post position. I wouldn't put him in the post. I mean, I wouldn't make him a five just because of what that entails. But I'll say he could probably fill in there. I think you got a guy that could be could be all over in the post. Not afraid to go to the hole. Not afraid to shoot the three. Although John, you and I, we agree that big men shouldn't be shooting threes like that, especially, if you've got guards that can do it, and especially if you're supposed to be the aircraft carrier or the rim protector. So that's when we have to see. But in terms of the Wizards' fortunes, they really have to pray and hope that a top flight prospect is available. Malawak and Con Kneppel, again, both from Duke, I think they would be good, great additions in terms. They're not a team. They're not guys you build around. But if you are trying to rebuild this organization, you got to make some trades. And it seems like getting rid of Jordan Poole, which I'm sure everybody in the DC area is saying, thank goodness for that. And they'll be saying thank goodness for that next year when it comes to cap space. As for this year, just try to win more than 20 games. That's all. You've got 3 picks in 2 rounds, 6, 18, and 40. Do something with them in those first 2 picks. That last pick at 40, it's just, whoever's there and he ain't holding a broom in a dustpan at the end and everybody's standing at the door with their coat on.
I agree, man. I agree. So we'll see how this plays out tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, man, what do you think about the NBA Finals, man? What do you think?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm happy that OKC won because that was my pick. But John, I'll be honest, when Tyrese Halliburton went down with a torn Achilles, the air kind of went out of it for me because I really hurt for the kid, in so many ways. And it still breaks my heart that a player with that kind of talent, with that kind of impact, who was playing in the biggest game of his life, that it ends 7 minutes in with an injury. And I give him all the credit in the world for playing through a strained calf injury. He was ineffective in Game 5, came on, had a solid game in Game 6, and vowed to be ready in Game 7. And just as usual with Achilles injuries, he takes that one step without contact and snaps his Achilles, and he's not only done for that game, but really for the entire next year. And you think about it from a standpoint of Indiana was right there. I mean, that was your pick. They were right there. And I remember resigning myself to the fact, I said, Indiana could very well win this thing going into the Game 7. I did. I mean, again, I really thought that they could win this thing going into Game 7. And I wanted to see the best effort from both teams. But like I said, the air kind of went out with that injury. Yes, Indy, led at halftime. They were playing through it. But when you commit 7 turnovers and can't force one in the third quarter, that pretty much turned the game there. Once it got to 20 points, it's just a matter of how was it going to finish up. Even with saying that, John, when they got to within something like 12 points in the fourth quarter, I said they're not done. That just shows how much respect that Indy generates. But I think with an injury like that, when you look at the fact that Damian Lillard and Jason Tatum had those same kind of injuries in the playoffs, and you wonder, what is this league going to look like next year? What is the Eastern Conference going to look like when you got 3 top players that may miss the whole season? What does that mean for the teams? I mean, Boston has already traded Kristaps Porzingis to the Hawks, so it seems like they're dumping salary and such. I mean, what does Boston look like? Does a trade like that help the Atlanta Hawks? And of course, where does Giannis, the Greek Freak, where does he land? That's what I think, with some of these trades and what the NBA will look like in terms of challenging OKC. Now, OKC, congratulations. I'm really happy for them because again, they're a young team, young talented team, and you took advantage of the window that's there. It was a golden opportunity. Do I think that they can become a dynasty? No. And you know why? Because they're the 7th different champion in 7 years. And now we're even hearing talk that the Denver Nuggets, who were champions 2 years ago, it seemed like they're open to trading Joker. I don't think it's going to happen, but that was one that was kind of floated out there, and I was like, "What?" I mean, that part I just don't get, And John, you said something really interesting about the Indiana Pacers that still resonates with me, is that where I was rooting for the Knicks in that series because they had just beaten Boston. I mean, I thought that was their opportunity, and you said the Knicks were built to beat Boston, but you said the Pacers were built to win championships, and if not for an unfortunate injury, it might have happened. I think the window is still open for them too.
I think the window is open for them. I don't think they will win as many games next year, but I think they will still be better because they are, in my opinion, a complete team. And I think they'll get most of those players back. I think you'll see a lot of shifting going on with the league this summer. You already see Porzingis in Atlanta. I do not think that makes Atlanta a title contender. I do not. You see CJ McCollum going to the Wizards. That does not make them a title contender. I think that was a salary dump. You still got the big free agent situation with what's his name? Antetokounmpo, Giannis. Where does he end up? Does he stay in Milwaukee? Does he go to Miami? Does he maybe go to San Antonio? I don't know. Then you have Kevin Durant going to Houston and him being able to play a small forward there and Steven Adams being the center. That's going to, I think it's going to be interesting. All right, do you have some faces down? Yes. Jason Tatum's out for the year. Damian Lillard's out for the year. Tyrese Halliburton is out for the year. But you still have some exciting ball players still around. I don't think Boston's done, just so you know, Gary. I think they will.
I agree.
I think they will try to either trade Jaylen Brown or Derek White, if not both of them. I think they are, they are, for another show, it's too much to explain today, but a lot of this has to do with trying to get under the second apron. It's about how much how much luxury tax you have, and it's an exorbitant amount of money, and these teams do not want to pay. I don't blame them, so we'll see what's going to happen. And the Lakers are going to probably try to make a move on a free agent. Golden State will be interesting to see what they do, see what Jimmy Butler does next year coming back with them for a whole season. You got a draft tonight. I think you got free agency on July 1st. It's an exciting time of year. But I still think, all said and done, Miami will still be making a run. Milwaukee, don't be surprised if Antetokounmpo stays in Milwaukee. And the Knicks, I heard somebody asking yesterday, how come they're not getting a player? How come they're not making a run for Durant? How can you make a run for anybody? You don't have a coach. You got to have a coach first, because the coach has to make a decision about what type of player he wants in his system. And that's no knock on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is a top 5 player in the league. But you can't go and get a team and you don't have a coach. And, but.
Yeah, what I'm thinking, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to leave it at that. Don't be surprised if Tibbs ends up back with the Knicks.
Well, I mean, you've already asked 19,000 people, can you interview them? And 19,000 people told you no. So
Mhm.
what do you do? I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
you let Tibbs go. You basically said it's his fault. And you don't want Brunson coaching the team because he says it's a problem with his son being there. So now you're making even more friction going on in the organization. And then you got people you won't let in the building. Well, you just started letting them back. I don't even want to get into that. It's just it's not a good situation, and it's not the kind of environment that makes a player want to go and become a New York Knickerbocker again.
yeah. No matter how, you're right, John. No matter how it shakes out, that is not. It's not an ideal situation. I mean, any team with that kind of dysfunction and drama, has to give you pause, even if you're Kevin Durant, who loves drama. But the thing about Tibbs, and the reason why I just kind of threw that one out there is, you're almost a month after firing him. You figure that there's somebody that you've got in mind, because in sports, you don't fire a coach unless you've got somebody else in mind for the most part. They haven't done that. The firing itself has gone over like a lead balloon. Knicks fans are pissed off, and they should be. As a basketball fan, I'm pissed off because how do you fire a coach that gets you to the conference finals, and then has after back-to-back 50-win seasons. Say whatever about his substitution patterns or lack thereof, but he's still a damn good coach. And it's like he shouldn't be out there. Why he's still hanging out there, this long, even though he's on the hook for $30 million for the Knicks. How a coach like that isn't being sought, and you mentioned that already, but it none of it makes sense. That's all I can say. It doesn't make sense, and I hope he finds a good landing spot. But it wouldn't surprise me if Dolan just says, "Look, I made a mistake. Come on back."
So I'm going to say this to you, then you can just go ahead and take us home.
Okay.
You have a draft tonight. You don't have a coach. You have the free agency starting next week, and you probably still won't have a coach. Wrap your head around that and make that make sense. Gary,
John,
take
I
us home.
okay with that one. I wish I could. Only thing I'll just say is, if since Dolan wants to run the team, since he thinks he knows it, it's kind of like an owner that we had in DC with the Washington football team. It's like putting together a fantasy squad. It's like, okay, hey, who do we take? You're sitting in that war room. Who do we take? And that's how they're going to do it for now. They'll find a way to screw that one up. Maybe take the wrong guy. They don't draft for need or something. And then they get a coach in there finally who can't work with any of them, including Jalen Brunson. Again, with the Knicks, and I really want to love the Knicks just because, we followed the Knicks when Patrick Ewing was there. You might not have loved them. I think, I forgot who your team was back then, but I can't really make sense of anything that goes on tonight with the Knicks and maybe even with the Wizards, just because too many teams are focused on making money as opposed to being competitive and winning championships. And the only thing I'm going to say is we'll see.
You're right, Gary. Go ahead and take us home, man.
All right, let's see. Major League Baseball. Ah, man, so much to talk about with your Baltimore Orioles, a team who I think, John, a month from now, it wouldn't surprise me if they were still in the wild card hunt, because they're getting healthier a little bit at a time. I've watched them a few games. I kind of like what I see. So, probably by next week, because that's all we're going to be talking about is baseball for the next month or so until training camps open, and I think that's going to be a great thing. The Yankees are up in Cincinnati tonight. I'm going to watch that somewhere, and then the Padres come in. Two playoff teams, and the Reds are playing fairly well. Baseball is going to be the thing to watch, but the thing I'm going to be watching the most is whether the Orioles and the New York Mets can get back on track, because the Mets, I didn't know they had lost so many games until they played the Braves on Monday, and they had lost something like 10 of 11, and that's with Juan Soto.
Well, we'll see what happens. The Orioles play good, then play bad, play good, then play bad. They got to find the gear to get going. Had another 2 injuries last week. Adley Rushman goes down. As soon as you bring up Maverick Hanley, who's the backup catcher, he gets knocked around on a bang play at home plate when he ran into Jazz Chisholm. So he's down. So Gary Sanchez is playing catcher. Gary Sanchez is one heck of a hitter, but sometimes his abilities behind the plate can be challenging. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, next time, folks, when we get together, we'll probably be talking about Wimbledon. We'll probably be talking about, I'm trying to think of what the next big golf tournament is. Maybe the British Open, but that's probably a couple weeks away. But yeah, definitely Wimbledon will be starting up soon, and lots of baseball, our favorite sport, right, John?
Hey, man, I love some baseball. You know that whether the Orioles are winning or losing, they still my team. I'm still with them. Hey, you all, thanks for joining us this week. Another great week in sports. As Gary says, watch some football, not watch some football, watch some baseball, watch some golf, watch some soccer, watch some WNBA, but above all else, just watch some sports, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care.